welcome to the Prophecy Club. You know, our objective here is to try to tell people that, yes, you are in the last days. Yes, Jesus is probably coming in most people's lifetime that is listening to me right now. Now, I tried to get this across in yesterday's broadcast, but I just did not have the time, so we're going to continue. I'll repeat possibly a couple of things I said yesterday, but most of this is going to be new information because I've got such important things to share with you. So the point of this broadcast is, will the EAS start marine arrests of the 50,707 sealed indictments of U.S. leaders? In other words, on October 3rd, President Trump has scheduled a test of the EAS. That's the Emergency Alert System. It is supposed to be a simple test wherein the cell phones all across the nation receive a text message saying, this is a test. But, based upon the information I'm about to give you, what if this test that he says is coming is not really a test? What if he's telling people it's a test so that certain powers that be with certain authority won't block it? What if, instead of the test not being a test, instead of it saying this is a test, what if it says martial law has now been declared, and as a result of that, the roundup of the remaining 30,000 sealed indictments begins? What if the Trump administration knows that this text would be stopped by as many places as could and would stop it, and rest assured, if they knew what was coming, they would certainly stop it. But what if they knew it is not going to be a test, and I don't think that they do, but if they did know, they'd probably stop it. All right, so what new information do I have that makes me think that, yes, there is about to be a real emergency alert system, possibly announcing that martial law has been declared? First of all, let me give you one of the prophecies from Mark Taylor. And you remember Mark Taylor. He's the guy that, tell you the truth, a lot of things he prophesies does not sound like God. But he continues to keep getting things accurate. So, as long as he's accurate, then you got to listen to the guy. So here's what he says is coming.
This is what God has been telling me for a long time now, is that there are military-style tribunals that are coming, because this thing goes so deep. Honestly, I think it's even boggling the mind of Donald Trump right now, and he's trying to even wrap his head around it and get his team in place where they can go after these people and prosecute them, because there are going to be military-style tribunals break out when all this stuff comes to light, when the names start getting to be dropped. It's going to literally blow people's minds when they see who is actually involved in some of this stuff. And I'll tell you something else. Don't be surprised if the ones who are screaming the loudest are some of the most guilty.
Okay, now let's go to the additional information I just discovered. This is an executive order that President Donald Trump signed March 1st, 2018. It's executive order number 13825. You don't believe me? Just Google it. It's easy to find the rascal. But the problem is, it's 465 pages. No, I didn't read all 465 pages. And no, I'm not a lawyer. And to tell you the truth, as I start reading this, probably the same thing happens to you that happens to me. My eyes start to cross, and if I don't get the message, I'll soon get a headache. However, I discovered I didn't have to read too far in light of the Bible prophecy and what the other prophets of God are saying to really see the plan, what he's really doing. So, out of the 2 pages, I've only pulled a couple of paragraphs that are really important. So let me read those. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including Chapter 47 of Title 10, oh, here it comes, the United States Code, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so that he can prosecute people here in America for crimes that are also illegal in America. In other words, it appears that what he is doing is allowing him to prosecute people like Hillary Clinton that normally would never be able to be prosecutable here in America. Let's go on, though. In order to prescribe amendments to the Manual for Courts Martial, United States prescribed Executive Order 12473 of April 13, 1984. As amended, it is hereby ordered as follows. Now, I skipped a whole bunch here. This is the main sentence. Authorizes the convening authority to modify the findings and sentence of a court-martial. Now, I think that's what that's really saying. It appears to me that President Trump has signed this executive order giving him permission and authority to try people under the UCMJ, which would be required if his plans are, in fact, to arrest these 50,000 corrupt people and take them to Gitmo, Diego Garcia, and the Atoll prison islands for trial in military tribunals. In other words, he may be setting these people up, and perhaps they don't know about this executive order. Perhaps they would be just like me and you. If they tried to read it, their eyes would cross and they couldn't understand it. However, it could be that this is the executive order that is going to put Bill and Hillary behind bars, along with some 50,000 other corrupt leadership in America. Let's go on. There's just a couple of more things I want to read here. Section 7. The amendment to Article 15 of the UCMJ enacted by Section 5141 of the MJA shall apply to, here it is, any non-judicial punishment imposed on or after July 1, 2019. Now, what that's saying is basically making this in effect prior to when the executive order was actually signed, meaning that if it was against the law before this executive order was signed, this still applies. So it appears to me this executive order actually gives them permission to prosecute all offenses of the law, past and future, if they were against the law prior to this executive order. Now, let me give you that disclaimer. I'm not an attorney, and I could be misunderstanding this. But I think if you'll go and read it, if you can read it, you'll probably get the same thing out of it. Okay, so what's going on? Now, I've already, in yesterday's program, given you a lot of the background, so I'm not going to take time because I've got too many other things to share with you that are more important today. But as a brief reminder, Pastor Massey was told by the Lord that the U.S. military will come in to help Trump to take control of the public. The public will go out of order. Terry Bennett was told by the angel Gabriel, so he says, quote, what the United States is going to go through is civil conflict, civil war, then invasion. I saw the governmental arena. We will go through a dramatic change in our government, with 50,000 U.S. leaders being rounded up and taken to prison islands. Would you call that a dramatic change in our government? A dramatic change in our government, and there would be a time of anarchy and chaos for a while. We'll have a fractional government, which means, basically, our government will come down to the state level because of the military stepping in and having to seize control of our federal government. You'd call it a coup, but in all honesty, it will be to help our nation. That's why the military will step in. Now, there's a lot more I got to cover here, but let me jump down to the very latest here. And if you listened to the broadcast yesterday, you know I already think this Q guy is something awesome. I do not think that he is putting out disinformation. I don't think he has his eyes crossed. I don't think he has an elevator that's not going quite to the top or the light's not on. I think this brother is probably one of the cabinet members. I do not think it's Donald Trump, but I do think it is someone that has daily access to Donald Trump. I think it's someone that can touch his desk on a daily basis. Probably it's one of the cabinet members. Now, I read what he said yesterday, and I doubt I'll have time to get that today because I've got some other important things, but let me bring to you what he just posted. This is posted as of 9/19. Correction, I think it's 9/18. Yeah, 9/18. September 18th. He says, and I'm reading this in reverse because he posts them chronologically, but they stack up. Okay, so I'm actually reading the last thing posted, which was the first thing posted today. Anyway, the point is, you get the point here. He says, listen carefully. Truth to power. Goodbye, Mr. Rosenstein. Then he has a foxnews.com link here. You click on it, and it says, if Rosenstein refuses to release the documents President Trump has instructed to be released, he should be fired. Essentially, that's what it's saying. It's actually a video link, but that's what it's saying. Fire at will. Lock on target. Attention on deck. Now, again, is the way, maybe I should read it in this order. Attention on deck, lock on target, fire at will. Point being, he is hinting something big is about to happen. Could it be that that something big happens on October 3rd? Could it be that that EAS message is not going to say a test, but instead it says, I'm declaring martial law? Because that's what he's already declared in another executive order. What was it, back in March? We're about to cover that. Let me go on to the next post. And it says, non-NSA tech cannot read filter. Now, based upon the other things that I read, I don't have time to get into. Essentially, what I understand this to be saying is the NSA is basically blind and out of business because Trump took down their satellites. Let's go on to the rest of the post. Define projection. DS panic is real. I'm not sure what DS is, but I'm pretty sure it's talking about the Democrats. Think about real-time Q tracking. The war is real. The power you have is real. Fight, fight, fight. Now to the next post. Example. And he gives a Twitter link here that says, this is an especially dangerous abuse of power by the president. He places his self-interest above the national security interests of the country. And that's a tweet by Eric Holder. Here's another tweet by Representative Stilwell. Lawless. He is absolutely lawless, talking about President Trump, is the subject of an investigation. Using his power to selectively release classified information is an abuse of power. His days of unchecked abuse are numbered. Tick tock. We will just mark this as another exhibit. Now, these are two bad guys, Eric Holder and Representative Stilwell, and they're talking bad about our president. In other words, there's a war going on, brothers and sisters. And Jeremiah 51 verse 9 says, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let every man return into his own country. Meaning that I believe that right now is our opportunity as a nation to heal, if we will be healed. Now, Jeremiah 51 verse 9 says we won't be healed, but this is in the process. We still need to pray that America will be healed, but this is the deep state. This is the evil under the table that is fighting fiercely, trying to stop what he's doing. And as they are fighting fiercely, understand that Donald Trump is also fighting fiercely on the good side. Now, let's go on with the post. Abuse of power? Reminder, Hussein EO. Meaning, Hussein, we says Hussein, he's talking about Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein Obama, okay? And then he goes on to actually quote from it, classification, prohibitions, and limitations. A, in no case shall information be classified, continue to be maintained as classified, or fail to be declassified in order to conceal violations of the law. Now, here's where he's really saying. He's quoting this from this executive order, and it's saying, nope, when the president wants to declassify something, it can and will be declassified, and you can't stop it. Essentially, that's what he's saying. Sleep no more, question mark, meaning these evil people are about to be exposed. Next line. The American people and others around the world are awakening. Panic, question mark, game over. He's saying that he's about to pull the plug and drain the swamp. My question today is that EAS of October 3rd, is that simply going to be a test, or is that the pulling of the plug? Is that the other 30,000 about to be arrested? Is he about to say, I've declared martial law on such and such date? Back here as we're about to get to that. With this executive order, and I'm now putting it into effect. And you're about to see a roundup and arrest of a lot of people. And hopefully it'll be people like George Soros and also the leaders of ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, the New York Times, and a lot of these other corrupt, return our media that will simply report both sides in truth instead of trying to report it with an agenda. You understand? Okay. And he inserts something here from someone else. It's someone else saying this, but it's on his post, so it's basically him saying it. And it says, narrative shift. Nation on alert. Nation on alert? Does that also confirm what I've been saying in this broadcast? Anyway, let's go on. Nation on alert. Firing RR equals Block Mueller. RR is Rod Rosenstein. Firing RR, set up to firing Mueller. Firing RR equals red line. What was the Senate confirmation vote? Reference RR. Why did RR beg Ryan to block the FISA memo from congressional review further advancement? Real time. I'm going to explain this in a second. Congressional members, 3 senators, 2 former senior officials, plus 4 outside contractors. What he's giving you is a list of people that are about to be rounded up, that are all involved in this dastardly FISA memo, all of this cover-up, all of this tapping Donald Trump's phones and things like that, trying to see that he was not elected, that cheating, trying to keep him from becoming president. Now let's go on to another topic about why I say that there could be some people rounded up big time in America. Now, I already reported this on another radio program right after the Putin-Trump summit, but something blocked it. Matter of fact, according to our records, no one got to hear the program. That was at least on our website. We don't understand how that happened, and it might not be accurate. Maybe some people did get to hear it, but at least our counts show no one listened to it. I don't know how they blocked that, but there were a bunch of people who listened to it on the YouTube location, because you can listen to Prophecy Club several different places. Anyway, let's get to it. This comes from halturner.com. Got to give you a disclaimer. Cannot prove a word of it, and probably Hal Turner can't either. But once again, the Bible says that the Holy Spirit will lead us into all truth. And if you just kind of listen to the Holy Spirit, you can tell the difference between a lie and when someone's telling you the truth. It says, the recent 2-hour meeting in Helsinki, Finland, between the People's President Donald J. Trump of the United States of America and the Russian President Vladimir Putin were void of staff, aides, and the media. For it was yet another layer of unraveling of the criminal disdain, as it was reported by the White House White Hat intelligence agents, that Vladimir Putin hand-delivered, oh, listen to this, at least 160 terabytes of Russian intelligence intercepts exposing the horrifying activities of many, many people to deliberately foment social, cultural, and political chaos, violent riots, demonstrations, media smears, phony scandals, and fake news. During that meeting, reportedly, Putin laid out the inner workings of the vast global network of, quote, the elites and the activities they have engaged in to bring in wars, refugees, as well as all manner of social and political chaos to countries around the world, much of it in the United States. Russia even provided charts showing, quote, organizational structures. These organizations are, quote, de facto operational realities, who is tasked with what topics or activities, how much they have been paid, and by whom. Foggy Bottom, parenthesis, the nickname for the State Department, is turning out to be the epicenter of evil for a lot of things. Vast reports on money transactions via wire transfer, control numbers, account names, amounts, dates, purposes, and the receipt of information as well. Headline, U.S. National News, Tuesday, July 17th, 2018. Source, Hal Turner Radio Show. Headline, Putin gives Trump 160 terabytes of communication intercepts. All people behind fake, quote, Russia collusion, false flag chemical attacks in Syria, sabotage of Brexit, nefarious Clinton activities, and more. The article, once again from Hal Turner, goes on to say, some of these very same intercepts revealed those who have been financing weapons, supplies, travel, hotel, vehicle rentals, and secure communications gear for terrorist groups inside Syria, Iraq, and terror attacks in Europe and the United States. Among the intercepted barrage of communications were also international phone calls, faxes, and emails by members of the U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, federal judges, state-level elected officials from California, Oregon, Washington, New York State, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, Virginia. Keep in mind that once those communications left the United States, they became fair game. Let me say it again. They became fair game for any country to spy on them. Although a great number of these communications were encrypted, Russia found a way to break much of the encryption. Are you hearing what this is saying? As the leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin's endeavor to improve relations with President Trump, Putin provided the original encrypted versions of the intercepts and the key which decrypts them. Oh, listen to this. So that the U.S. can use the U.S. obtained intercepts, parenthesis, which may still be encrypted, along with the Russian provided decryption key to prove that the information is accurate and unedited. What's he saying? He's saying that Russia provided enough documentation and proof to put a lot of people in jail. And could that begin October 3rd with the EAS? Back to the article. These tyrannical and terroristic acts found on the encrypted intelligence factual attest to the fact that there are numerous high-ranking officials and well-known wealthy people caught red-handed by scheming together and with foreign governments along with the radical leftist billionaires, both inside and outside the U.S., to foment and finance extraordinary acts of political, social, cultural chaos, including riots, violent attacks, political unrest, and more, as the enemies from within that know to divide a nation is to conquer a nation, and now they are being conquered by the very same weaponized tactics they used against innocent Americans and our president, who represents the forgotten people. Through the dark shadows of leadership transpired through the past several decades, Americans have become the forgotten people, especially supercharged by the past administration 8 years of shadow activity. Worst of all, some of the signals intelligence grabbed up certain well-known individuals inside the U.S. Department of Justice, the crimes these people have committed in the name of treason, tyranny, and sedition, will no doubt crush the reputation of the legal system for decades to follow. Not only are these criminals going to prison, their liability for things they've executed without authorization will expose them to personal liability. In turn, will destroy them and their families civilly. Such greed and ego will now become their downfall as they misused and abused their privileges in these high offices for the purpose of their own political and military endowment plans. At the highest levels of these intercepts are allegedly names like Soros, Rothschilds, and very recognizable others. In total, more than 160 terabytes of this data was given to President Trump in the form of 1 terabyte USB flash memory drives. The USB drives are Data Traveler, HyperX, Predator 3.0 USB flash drives, which hold 1 terabyte of data each. Now, again, who would go to the trouble of looking up the actual brand names of companies that sell 1 terabyte USB flash memory drives if this is all just bunk? Again, sometimes you can just tell by the Holy Spirit it's the truth. And that's why I'm reading this. Some high-level managers at gigantic social media companies have received millions of dollars in payoffs to establish or use under-the-radar company policies to impose several censorship on certain views and to silence certain people, oftentimes without the knowledge or the consent of the highest executives or boards of directors of those companies. Those payoffs usurp actual executive power in some giant social media outlets. And we have witnessed many complaints against these dynasties and their smug catch-me-if-you-can attitude, as they thought their shallow plots against mankind would go unnoticed through their weaponization of working underhandedly with various political and military elites in a partnership of fulfilling a globalized anti-American agenda in the name of the New World Order. Also, high-level mass media producers, editors, and some writers in the United States, the UK, Europe, have been paid off endless sums of money to launch fake media smears, propagate scandals, and create an endless stream of fake news stories, all to cause division in the ranks of, quote, we the people. When this information is released and revealed to the masses, major outlets will be destroyed by their own making. Their company stocks or parent companies will plummet to zero because they have been betrayed by the public and hold no credibility. Greed and ego will be their own demise. We have witnessed the already emerging facts of significant numbers of U.S. intelligence community persons also sadly caught, many inside the U.S. intelligence community who are abusing their positions without security clearances, misusing their power, will be indicted. Did you hear that? Will be indicted, tried, and convicted, and executed under our federal legal system. Yes, some of these people could face the death penalty for some of the acts that they have committed. Could it be that on October 3rd, when President Trump releases this test of the EAS, that is not really a test, and instead the message will say, we are now under martial law, and the other 30,000 sealed indictments persons are all rounded up, taken out to prison islands to be seen from and heard from, not again. And as a result, the level of governorship in America comes down from the federal down to the state level, just like the prophets have said. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your prayers. And thank you for those gifts of support. God bless. Now from the Prophecy Club, some exciting opportunities for you. I really want you to get these 7 DVDs. Top Soviet War Plans for America, Russian Defector Warns America, I Saw Subs Attack America, Russian Bear Awakes, Babylonians Are Coming, Russia's Secret Weapon, Storm Judgment and Revival, and the First 34 Orders. Also, get Jeff Nyquist's book, Origins of the Fourth World War, free, valued at $230 for a gift of $50. But you can call 785-266-1112 and get a code and go to watchprophecyclub.com, and you can watch all 7 of them for the next 90 days for a gift of just $20. 785-266-1112. 785-266-1112. Watch all 7 of them for 90 days, gift of $20. Over 150 conferences and 50 debates defending the King James Version gives Adam Johnson the right to tell us what is the best Bible version in his new triple DVD set called King James or 400 Counterfeits, available at prophecyclub.com. Gift of $45, prophecyclub.com.